A special thank you to Glenn Kramer, Mark Ware, Byron Colley, Steve Dix, Bill Schreiber, Christopher Hunt, Felix Rodriguez, James Rogers, Norman Fair, Daniel Mayer, Kyle Sarpolis, Leland Lampkins, Lonnie Meisner, Michael Douglas, Paul Wood, Michael Scott, Samuel Draney, and Tom Champion.
It's Sunday Slot Car Fun. It is Sunday, and it's about 2 in the afternoon, and I'm late this weekend because this weekend was another rocket launch on Saturday, and it was spectacular. And I launched a very large rocket I designed myself to about near 2,000 feet. It goes up and down all the time. I didn't have the altimeter in there, but I know from the calculations done on the simulator that, and it's a very accurate simulator because I tested it against the altimeter, which tells you also how fast you go and how high you go and what apogee is and everything. It did 309 miles an hour and about realistically 1,700 feet, but a lot of us think it was 2,000. Next time I'll put the altimeter in. Anyway, it was exciting, and it took up a good chunk of the day. Then I had to do our pardon me, SNG Studio newsletter, which is a newsletter that goes out every weekend to people who subscribe to it. And in the newsletter, it tells you about all the things we do at the studio, from making creatures to models for clients, to doing movie work and all this other stuff, besides slot cars. But slot cars are in it as well. And one of the things I talked about this week, and I forgot, I have a weekly video too that I shoot that encapsulates everything day by day that I do at the studio, including slot cars. And so what I did this week that was very interesting is, I've always wanted a wooden track, and I think we've all wanted a wooden track. And I thought, the best way to go about this is to get a router, get some MDF, build a table, get the tool for putting the braid in, getting the braid, stainless steel braid, et cetera, et cetera. You know the deal. There's a lot of stuff to do, and the glue and all that stuff. But I have a laser cutter, and I've been working with it for the last couple of weeks, and it's just like, seems there's nothing I can't do. And it came to me, what about doing slot cars track sections in 1/4-inch pine. I can even do it in basswood. And basswood's very cheap, and it's not a ply, so it's almost like it's better than MDF, and it's actually cheaper. So I can make slot car sections, straightaways, turns, and all this stuff. And I thought, well, it's not that hard to do, so I don't think it's that hard to do. Sorry, let's do a test track, or a test track section. So I went into Photoshop. I designed a track section, a straightaway, which is the easiest. Curves are harder, because I wanted a proof of concept, right? So I went in there and I made the track section. And I found that if I made things in black, that solid black, and the shape with the slots in it and everything, that when I take it into a very, very higher end light burn software. It's called Light Burn, and they give you one with the X tool, but this is far superior. You have to pay for it. You know what the saying goes, you get what you pay for. So I did that. It's absolutely excellent. I was able to take in these shapes and line trace. It will line trace for you, make perfect vector drawings. So in a matter of minutes, I had a vector drawing outlined of the slot and the track, and I was able to tell it to burn. And I had it burn the wood, and I pulled out a perfect section of track straight away the first time with tabs. Not that the tabs are really needed, because the way this track's going to work is it has tabs, so you can lock one straightaway into the next straightaway piece and stuff. But unlike plastic, you can cut this track. So let's say you need one of those small sections and you're doing a wood track. So cut one of the long sections. exactly what you need. And the same thing goes with the turns. So the idea here is you take these track sections, and the slots are all the way through the 1/4 inch. You put it on your plywood table that you built, hopefully with casters on it, or even in sections like I'm going to do over here. Yep, I'm going to replace this track with a wooden track, and you're going to watch it all happen. And you glue it down, or screw it down, whatever you want to do, so the pieces are end to end. And once you get the whole layout in there, you use copper tape. It's, I could engrave, burn down deep into the wood and account for braid. But I'm trying to make this simple for people who want to set up a track at home. They want a wooden track, they want something besides the plastic option, and you use the copper tape. Now some of you are going to go, ooh, copper tape wears out, this, that. I got to tell you, I had copper tape on my old Nimco track for several years, and it never wore out. I used the heavier stuff. It was stretchy, so you could get it around turns pretty well. It was good stuff. Can't find it again, but there are other companies out there, so I'm going to investigate it. And it worked great. And it's flush. And it's sort of instantaneous. So, in the terms of laying it down. So this is a very easy way to make a wooden track without having to get a router and go through all the steps it takes to do that. You get the track, it's wood, it's already cut for you. And not only that, I'm going to narrow the lanes. In other words, in the turns, because if you race or you have a sports car and you like to drive hard on the roads and there's no one else out there, you always take the turns towards the inside. You always try to make a straight line out of every turn. So my curves are going to have that in there. So they will narrow together pretty close to the inside. So if the guy ahead of you is there first, you're not going to be able to go around him, just like in real racing or full-size racing. So there's going to be that, and there's going to be other types of things. I might even have a mechanical for analog switcher that allows you to pull your car into the pit. I'm only going to do 2-lane because, maybe it'll change later in the future, but basically, I think most people want a 2-lane track for home. They'd like it to be wood. They'd like it not to be super expensive. Now, I'm not saying that these wooden track pieces are already ready to go for you, except for the painting and the copper tape aren't going to be a little pricey. Maybe comparable to 2 pieces of scale electric. You'll get 1 piece of straightaway instead of 2. Keep in mind that this track already has the borders on it and in the corners too, and you have to pay more for those. So the track's already nice and wide. So whether you're using magnets or you're not using magnets, you can go around a turn without having to darn rear end of the car, hit the very edge of the track and come off, which is the problem I had with Scale Electric, Carrera, and all the rest of them. If you didn't put the borders on or guardrails to bang up against, you came off. So let me show you what I've done. I think while I was talking, I was showing you little bits and pieces, pictures of what I had done on a laser cutter. Not much, but you get the idea. I have no idea what the price is going to be yet. I have no idea how it's going to go. A friend of mine, Mark Helmick, is helping me right now, taking the information and doing vector drawings for me so I can easily cut. The first thing I'm going to do is make an oval track that's 4x8, and it will be also a kit with guardrails and everything for you dirt track enthusiasts. I'm one myself. To have a nice smallish track that you can lean up against the wall or set it up permanently in the corner of a room or in your garage, and it doesn't take up a lot of space, and you can test your cars on it and get a little practice at the same time before you go to your club race. So let's take a look at this. As you can see here, I hope you can see, I'm going to remove that little scratch-built gem, and yes, I'm working on a Fiat 124 Spider. Mark printed this up for me with his Creality printer. It's pretty darn good, and I'm ticking away at it soon. We are also getting a 3D printer next week, so that's going to be neat. And of course, here's the Maserati, which I've been working on. We'll talk about that in a minute. But this time, my shoulder's not blocking things, is it? So this is the track. This is the test section that I made, and I did it on the wood I had, which was not a 1/4 inch, so I backed it up with some foam core so that you get an idea of the thickness it will be. And there's the tabs. Let's see, maybe tabs. I'm orienting this to the monitor as I watch it. And then down this end, we have those tabs, and they'll lock into each other. But let's say you just needed half this section. You just cut it before you put the tape on and paint it. You just cut it, and because it doesn't matter if it locks together or not, you can line it up with the other piece of track and then tack it down to your plywood tabletop, and then connect it with the copper tape. Now, I actually hooked some power up to it. It runs great, you know, and it's very smooth. Very smooth indeed. So I'm really pleased with it. The test shows me that this can be done. And I don't think it's ever been done. I don't think, now of course this is going to get out and other people are going to try to beat me to the punch, and they're going to try to do this themselves, I guess. You know what, it's a free country, and that's fine. You can do that. Knock yourself out. Personally, if it was myself and I saw that someone else had done this, I wouldn't copy it. It's just a moral thing with me. I'd say, well, that's their thing. I'm not going to tread on it. Kind of like Dave's Slot Car News. I myself personally would never do my own news portion of the show. Why would I? His show is wonderful. He's a great host. He's a great guy. We don't need any other news shows. And yeah, he doesn't own the Slot Car News, but from my perspective, he owns it in the effect that, or the fact that it's the best one. You own that. You know that expression? So Dave does kind of own it, I think. So other people are now starting to do their own news programs. They're copying him, and you know, they have every right to do it, but it's just not something I would do. It goes against my moral scruples. So, but you saw it here first, and unless I'm wrong, no one else has done this, and so it's something that I find very exciting, and I can finally have a wooden track without having to have a router and all that stuff. So first thing I'm going to do is build a table in 3 sections so I can get in the door into this place, and then replicate the track I already have. So let's take a look at the Maserati. I've been working on this very slowly, but the studio's been so incredibly busy that I find it hard to find time. A little zoom in on it here. A little too much. There we are. I've got the knockoffs in it now, which I hadn't had done before, which are the knockoff spinners for the wheels. This is permanently on. These actually should be painted red, these mirrors. I've got the windshield in it, but it's not glued in permanently. The driver still has to be painted, Sterling Moss, since this is his car. I've got the, you can see, orientation. I've got the gas caps on, and I used the chrome pen. If you guys aren't familiar with the chrome pen, look at those mirrors. Look how they shine. I mean, they are incredible, the chrome pens. $17 now for one little chrome pen, but you cannot get chrome paint that looks as good as that. I mean, it's just incredible. So that's as far as I got. That's pretty darn far. Also, it's been clear coated, of course. And the clear coat is protecting the decals. And I used Tamiya clear coat and because we don't have Testors wet look or any of those anymore. That's all gone thanks to Rust-Oleum and their lack of wisdom. So those are all gone. I tried the Tamiya. I did a test first to make sure it didn't cause any crinkling to the decals. I loaded the stuff on after my test, and these decals are as well sealed as any NSR or any kind of other cars that are on the market, Scalextric. So I'm very, very pleased with that. I'm trying to think, is there anything else I'm missing? Oh yes, I am going to be doing also my garage. This little garage I made some time ago, and it's all balsa, and it has an interior and exterior. It's engraved, and I did all that by hand and balsa planking. There's lights inside. It's a wonderful little piece, and these fences are all handmade. Well, guess what? I can laser cut the whole thing. Signs, the fences, and everything. Now, I know other companies are making things like this, but not exactly this kind of old style garage. And this, of course, is called Slot Car Fun Garage. It will be. And I do have some other things planned. I have another kind of garage planned that can house all the cars. I'll swing around over here. So my plan is to make a long garage that's with open doors up. That's kind of like a area. There won't be as many cars, but there'll be maybe 4 or 5 cars in that garage that are being worked on with people in there. I think that will be really kind of cool. And again, it's going to be my own design, reminiscent of ones you've seen in old tracks. Since this track is replicating something more in the 60s era, which is my favorite era for cars in general. Okay, that's pretty much all I wanted to talk to. And in closing, I want to run the Maserati on the track for you a little bit. But I've seen a lot of bashing of Carrera and Scale Electric, and it's kind of sad because, you know, those two companies have got more people into slot cars than any other companies I can think of. Ninco was great too, and they make a nice little car. They really do. Let's face it, you're not going to race these in club races, but some of you do. It all depends on the classes you run and stuff. My club doesn't run these. They run NSR and Slotted and Ninco. Actually, they run Ninco too. Caltrex once in a while. But these cars are well detailed, you know. And they got all the details of the car. They're fairly scaled. They're pretty on the money and very well detailed. And you know what? I like them because they represent historical cars I really loved, and historical drivers like this one. You all know who drove this car. Mr. Plaid. Mr. Scottish man. If you don't know his name, I'm not going to tell you. You should know if you're into racing. Anyway, what is his name anyway? Anyway, I'm just kidding. So, very famous car. And it runs well. I mean, you've got this scale car that's a beautiful representation of a famous driver's car, and you can put it on your track, sit back, and enjoy it. You don't have to race. You can, as long as you're racing other Scale Electrics. And I find this true with a lot of the Scale Electric cars. I love my Cortina, my Lotus Cortina, because I had one, you know, when I was a kid. They made a lot of cars that no one else makes, and that I owned when I was a kid. So let's take a look at this running on the track before we run the Maserati. It's quiet, it's smooth, and all I did was tune it up a bit and change the tires. Okay, I'm not going to use the cell phone today to do this, but you can get an idea watching this wide shot because, can you even see me in there? Yeah, I'm just off to the edge, and that's fine. I'm using Professor Motor controllers on this track. And I'm running this wonderful car, and of course it's not running well. That's because there's a big old piece of dust on it. Oh, it's on the brushes. I should have checked that first. All right, let's rev her up. Often you need to rev up and... Yeah, I think we'll be okay now. I mean, it's quiet. It's really smooth. It's pretty fast. The tires are dirty, but you get the idea. I really have no problem with Scale Electric cars. I think they're just great. Yeah, tires are dirty. We'll put one more on there before I run the Maserati and bring this all to a close. That is a great running little car. And when I bought it, I think it was 60 bucks. Earlier, they were $49, like this Lotus 25 that everybody complained about. I also changed the rear tires on this. It's horribly fast because it's overpowered. And the other problem I have with Scale Electric track is their hairpin narrows too much. It's not consistent, so it sort of pinches. If you don't go in there at some good speed, some of their cars stick in there, which is another reason I want a wood track, because that will never happen with a wooden track. Okay, let's run the Maserati. I should take the driver out in the windshield that's not glued in. We're going to run the Maserati. Here we go. going to take it really easy because this is my baby. And you notice that it doesn't get stuck in the same hairpin at all. I'm using a slotted flag on it, slot guide, whatever you like to call it. This car is quiet, pretty quiet and very smooth. And keep in mind that the frame and everything in it is all scratch built with the exception of the body, which is from MVD Resins. That's John Warren down in New Zealand, who makes fantastic body kits. So that one's super. So I hope you enjoyed that short little slot car fun today. I can't thank you guys enough for all the support you've been giving me. Geez, we're up over, God, 550 members now in Slot Car Fun recently, within the last couple of weeks. We started increasing membership. I don't know why. Maybe Dave Kennedy's partly responsible. I made him administrator, and he's been somewhat promoting the group. But there are a lot of groups on Facebook, and so you can't play favorites. You really need to love them all because they're all really great, and they all have some great content to offer that you can't get on other groups. Whatever it is, thank you. I love what you're posting. You guys have been really good. I only had one guy bring up politics for the first time in a long, long time, and I had to write him and say, you don't do that here. We do not discuss politics, religion, or anything like that in Slot Car Fun. That's why it's called Slot Car Fun. This is our little world, our little bubble, where we're happy and we enjoy the hobby together, and that's all that matters. Because slot cars matter. That's right. So, thank you. And so if you like this video, you know the deal. Please give it a like. Please subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to get to 5,000. I'm getting there. I'm almost there. I think I'm at 4,500 or so people. And you'll see the Buy Me a Coffee link. And if you feel so inclined, go visit my Buy Me a Coffee page, because not only is it some place where you'll give us $2 or $5 a month to help support our studio and these slot car videos and all the other things we do at SNG Studio, but also it's a blog, and you can see daily what I post there, which is about making slot cars and making models and making monsters and all this kind of stuff. And that's all free. You can join in the fun, watch what I'm making, comment if you like. We'd love to have you. You can be a follower. That's fine. You don't have to pay money. We're up to, on that one, 38 followers so far and about 20 supporters. And I thank all of you that are followers and who are supporters. And we'll see you next week for more Slot Car Fun.